How you guys doing? Welcome to the Morning Minute with Karen. This one's going to be a little long. I really want to go over closing costs and kind of explain how they work on a buyer's perspective and a seller's perspective. Um, you have to realize that years and years ago in the early 2000s, yes, I did real estate then, there were loans that you can get like 106% financing that you can actually, the bank would roll the closing cost into the loan, right? And those days kind of have changed. And now there's, people can't afford closing costs because they're putting money down payment, or, you got VA buyers, or you got the builders that are offering it. So a lot of things are just so confusing, whether you bought a house in the early 2000s and it's a little different now, or if you never had to pay closing costs and you're kind of confused as a seller why buyers need it. So we're going to go over it really fast. Well, first off, let me say this. There's obviously different areas in Tampa. Like if you're buying in South Tampa where there's not a lot of inventory, there's not a lot of new construction whatsoever, and there's a high demand for houses, you probably won't get a house asking for closing costs, especially in certain price points. That's the other thing you got to remember. Houses under 200,000, obviously you're not gonna really find that in South Tampa, but houses under 200, maybe 250, they move so fast that people are just offering full price or above, and they're not asking for closing costs. As you get higher in the price point, or especially areas like Riverview, where there is new construction developments everywhere and the builders are asking, or offering, I should say, closing costs, well, then buyers are going and asking for closing costs from sellers because they're saying, well, I can just get it down the street from a builder, right? So let's kind of figure out how this works in both sides. If you're a buyer, you're putting money down on a house, right? 3.5%, 5%, 10%, whatever the case may be. Now there's additional money that you have to pay, whether it's prepays or tax, whatever the case may be. Now, let me say something. When you buy a house cash, your closing costs are tiny, 0.5%, maybe 1% max. When you're buying with financing, that's where closing costs come in, right? So you can now pay the down payment, and then you also have to pay out of pocket closing costs, right? Now, if you can go up to a seller and say, I want to offer you, let's say the house is 100,000, but I'd like 3% back, and so you really offer 97,000 towards my closing costs, and that's kind of how it works. Now, depending the market, you can go, oh, it's 100,000. I really want this house. I'll give you 103,000. If it's a normal market, maybe you go 100. And if it's a buyer's market, then the buyers will be like, I'll give you 95 plus I want 3% back towards closing costs. Almost look at it as like cash back. When you go to like Publix and you buy something, they like, would you like some cash back? It's almost the same concept, but we can't say that the bank is doing it. We're saying that the seller is contributing, even though the buyer theoretically is rolling it into their loan. There's other ways to do it too. You can work with your lender by adjusting a rate. There's different ways, and we can talk about that another time. You guys can call up and I can explain it. Now, for a seller, depending where you are, like if you're selling a house priced amazing and you have a pool, sit back and watch the offers come in. But as you get a higher price point, especially in areas like Riverview, where there are a lot of new construction, your house is one of many. Even though the inventory is low, there's a lot of new construction. So you might want to already offer money towards closing costs, and you're readjusting your price knowing that you're offering it, because buyers will say, why buy your house when I can buy a new construction? And that's where you have to understand that as a seller, it's an incentive. You're almost acting like a builder, and you're offering an incentive to the buyer. There's a place for everything in this business. There's a place to offer closing costs. There's a place not to, depending on price, depending on location, depending on what your house has. So there's a lot of different things, and with buyers as well. Now, I'm not going to get into it, but there's other ways. Like we can help our buyers. There's ways to help and adjust commissions to help buyers with closing costs as well. One other thing. Every agent writes 3% towards closing costs, 3% towards closing costs. First off, not every house needs 3%. The higher the price point, the percentage can go down, right? Number one. Number two, if you love the house and it's your dream house and you go in asking for 3%, and the buyer or the seller gets a better offer, they might not even renegotiate with you. So there are ways to get funds from family. Maybe you only need 1%. Maybe you can do something with the rate. Maybe you work with someone, me, and I help you out. There's ways, and I'd love to talk to you more about it. I don't want to take up a half hour with this video trying to explain it, because it's a lot. It's negotiation tools. It's saving money. So call me anytime, free consultations. Let's sit, we can do a Zoom, and let me explain this more so you understand how you can go into a market, whether you're buying or selling, and understanding how the closing costs can benefit you, or in the fact that you might not need them at all. I'm Karen, Morning Minute, Wednesday. It was probably a morning 3 or 4 minutes, whatever. Call me and let me explain anything regarding anything real estate related. Talk to you soon. Have a good day.